The idyllic calm of the Himalayan foothills was shattered on April 22, 2025. Gunmen descended upon the picturesque tourist town of Pahalgam in Indian-administered Kashmir. They opened fire indiscriminately, unleashing a wave of terror and bloodshed. When the gunfire ceased, 26 lifeless bodies lay scattered across the streets. Women, children, and elderly tourists were among the victims. The Resistance Front, a militant group operating from Pakistan-administered Kashmir, claimed responsibility. India erupted in fury. Protests engulfed major cities. The government vowed a swift and decisive response. Fingers pointed squarely at Pakistan, accused of harboring and supporting the terrorists. The Pahalgam attack was more than just a local tragedy, it was a stark reminder of the volatile and unresolved Kashmir conflict. Tensions reached a fever pitch in the days following the Pahalgam attack. India, reeling from the loss of innocent lives, prepared a devastating response. On May 6, 2025, Operation Sindoor was unleashed. Under the cover of darkness, Indian fighter jets roared across the line of control, the de facto border dividing Kashmir. 9 targets were identified, including training camps, logistical hubs, and suspected hideouts of militant groups. Leading the charge were India's recently acquired Rafale jets, armed with long-range Scalp missiles. These advanced weapons allowed the Indian Air Force to strike deep inside enemy territory with pinpoint accuracy. New Delhi insisted that only militant infrastructure was targeted, minimizing civilian casualties. However, the international community watched with concern as the conflict threatened to spiral out of control. Pakistan's response to Operation Sindoor was immediate and forceful. Denouncing the Indian airstrikes as an act of aggression, Islamabad vowed to retaliate with full force. Within hours, a barrage of artillery fire rained down on Indian military positions along the line of control. Pakistani officials claimed to have shot down 5 Indian jets during the initial engagement, a claim vehemently denied by India. As tensions escalated, the Pakistani government placed its eastern province of Punjab under emergency rule. Schools were closed, hospitals placed on high alert, and troops deployed to sensitive installations. The specter of a wider conflict loomed as Pakistan's nuclear command was reportedly placed on high alert. The civilian population on both sides of the border bore the brunt of the escalating conflict. Shelling across the line of control resulted in casualties and displacement, forcing hundreds to flee their homes in search of safety. The international community reacted with alarm as the India-Pakistan crisis threatened to escalate into a full-blown war. The United Nations Security Council convened an emergency meeting, with Secretary General Antonio Guterres calling for an immediate ceasefire and urging both sides to exercise maximum restraint. The United States, while expressing support for India's right to self-defense, urged both countries to de-escalate the situation through dialogue. China, Pakistan's all-weather ally, condemned India's actions and called for an end to its aggression. Other regional and global powers, including Russia, the European Union, and Japan, echoed calls for restraint and dialogue. The overwhelming consensus was that a military escalation would be catastrophic, not only for India and Pakistan, but for regional and global stability. The 2025 India-Pakistan crisis has once again raised the specter of a nuclear confrontation between the two South Asian rivals. Both countries possess nuclear weapons and have a history of bitter conflict, making the situation particularly perilous. While a full-blown nuclear exchange remains unlikely, the risks of miscalculation and accidental escalation cannot be ignored. Several factors mitigate the risk of a nuclear conflict. Both India and Pakistan are aware of the catastrophic consequences of such a conflict. The international community is also acutely aware of the stakes involved and is actively engaged in efforts to de-escalate the situation. However, the potential for miscalculation remains a serious concern. The fog of war, coupled with heightened tensions and nationalistic fervor, could lead to misinterpretations and unintended consequences. A minor incident along the line of control could quickly spiral out of control, leading to a rapid and uncontrolled escalation. As the dust settles on the latest India-Pakistan crisis, the path forward remains fraught with challenges. The two nuclear-armed neighbors have a long history of mistrust and hostility, rooted in territorial disputes, religious differences, and unresolved historical grievances. The Pahalgam attack and Operation Sindoor have exacerbated existing tensions, making the pursuit of peace even more elusive. However, amidst the despair there are glimmers of hope. The international community's unified response and its calls for restraint demonstrate a shared understanding of the need to prevent a catastrophic conflict. Moving forward, both India and Pakistan must prioritize dialogue and diplomacy over military adventurism. This will require political will, a willingness to compromise, and a genuine desire to break free from the shackles of the past. The international community has a crucial role to play in facilitating this process by providing diplomatic support, mediating disputes, and promoting confidence-building measures.